Hi, my name is Dr. Aju Mathew. I'm a consultant medical oncologist practicing in the state of Kerala in India. I live in the city of Kochi. Today I have with me a very special guest. This is Mr. Aditya Santoki. He's an American citizen doing a Fulbright research scholarship with me. He's just completed almost 10 months of his life in India for the first time ever. And this is his exit interview. Aditya, welcome. Tell us more about yourself.
Thank you for having me. So my name's Aditya. For the last 8 to 10 months, I've been working with Dr. Mathew in Kochi, Kerala. I've been privileged enough to work on a range of projects with him. We started off by working on a project understanding whether physicians have cost of care discussions with their patients and how that leads to different medical decisions based on those conversations. Then Dr. Mathew gave me the opportunity to actually work on a medical startup with him, which was really fascinating. We were working on building a cancer app for patients to report their symptoms remotely to their oncologists. And so through that, I was able to see the budding entrepreneurship system and the kind of organizations in India. I was also able to work with a wide range of people, not just doctors and patients, but also with computer scientists, engineers, coders, to really work on an interdisciplinary project to create something that can impact patients' lives from their phone directly. So I thought that was really cool.
That's wonderful. Actually, you mentioned a lot of things, but you did a lot of things in this past several months. But where are you from, based in the US?
So I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia. I grew up there. That's where my family was from. And this upcoming year, when I go back to the US, I'll be starting medical school at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland, Ohio. And right now, I'm sort of undecided on which specialty I'm interested in, but definitely keeping my options open. And Dr. Mathew has definitely shown me how cancer care can really be, a vibrant, happy field as well.
But this is not your original background. Medicine is not a background. I understand you've done chemical engineering.
Yeah, so I did chemistry and biomedical engineering at Duke. And so obviously that's slightly different from practicing medicine alone. But I would also argue that, in the decades coming up, doctors need to be critically involved with medical innovations to really have an effect on patients as the first line of care. And so, that's one of the reasons why I decided to major in that in college and really apply that during my time at Fulbright India as well.
You are an Indian American, as in your parents are Indians, but you were born, raised in the US. Coming to India, before you actually came, you probably have come on vacations, brief vacations, but this is the first time you actually lived in India like an Indian does.
Yeah.
When you were coming, what were your apprehensions?
Honestly, I've sort of always liked India. Ever since I was a kid, when I was coming here, there's a sense of freedom in India that I don't necessarily feel like I have in the US. Maybe that's a consequence of me being privileged coming from the US, coming to India. But I definitely love that. Some of the apprehensions I had coming to India, though, I would say, the past decade, there have been a lot of sort of advances in the US in terms of making life a little bit easier for consumers. For example, you can order a car or you can book a hotel pretty easily. I was worried that if I came to India, these are some of the things that without having connections or without having people who know the space would be difficult for me. But I think what's sort of been the edge in India is that people here are so friendly that you could sort of form those connections very quickly and people are very willing to help you out. And so in that way, in the US, you have a lot of these apps that can do this job for you. In India, you have helpful people who can help you guide into this trust. So that's something I've loved about India.
Some quick questions. What is one thing that you can recall that you learned from this 10 months in India?
I would say one thing that really comes to mind is that when I was sitting and shadowing Dr. Mathew and a lot of the patients he was talking with, there was a much sort of enhanced sense of trust between the patient and the doctor, something that I may not have necessarily always seen in the US. And I think that was a consequence of sort of the patients being on the same page about their care as the doctor. They wanted to improve their care. They were willing to try, for example, this new app to see if they can report symptoms to their doctor. They were open to these sorts of ideas. And so, helping patients go through this process and sort of making them aware of these sorts of things is a difficult process. But in the US, I feel like after having seen these conversations in India, I can have those conversations with patients in the US as a patient and sort of explanatory way where I can guide them through the process in a way that helps them trust me, and then build that repertoire so that I can move them forward.
What are some of your top 3 moments in India?
I would say my top moment in India, I would say it was really during the World Cup. So I was in Kerala, India, and Kerala is very much into soccer and football. And so I was very lucky to have formed a strong group of friends while I was here. And so I remember going to this restaurant and just celebrating the World Cup with my friends there. I felt like I was like in Spain or Argentina or France. And, you know, it was just a great community to be with. So that's one moment that really comes to mind. Another moment I would say that comes to mind is actually working on the startup project with Dr. Mathew. I was working with Sharon. He was one of the computer programmers who was working on this app. It was so cool for me to see a lot of these coders who had sort of really intricate idea of exactly how the startup ecosystem works. They knew exactly what resources to look for, what venture studios, venture capital programs to work with. And seeing that made me convinced that there's a lot of great potential and talent in India that needs to get recognized and is sort of right there, ready to be utilized in a way that's very phenomenal for the people. And so that was my second moment. And then my third moment for sure was when I was interacting with some of the colleagues Dr. Mathew was working with. So that was Siskel Davis, Anjali Dovichan, Mines Peter. All of them were great students to work with, and I was able to get along with them beyond any sort of professional way. I was able to go on vacations with them. I was able to trust them. And so that's sort of a repertoire that takes, I feel like, much longer time to build up in the US, but I was able to sort of build that immediately in India, just because people here were so friendly. And so those are top 3 moments that stand out.
Fantastic. Did you ever feel like an alien living in India?
So I mean, I was in Kerala, so my family's from Gujarat, so I only know Gujarati and English. I don't even know Hindi that much, so sometimes in Kerala, people can tell I'm not from South India, so they start speaking to me in Hindi, and I can kind of understand Hindi, and I try to improvise Hindi, but it's kind of fun because we're both speaking in broken Hindi to each other. And so in that way, we have one sort of commonality that, okay, we're both aliens to each other in a way, but it's okay, we're going to make this work. But other than that, those people were extremely friendly, never really felt out of place. And I want to come back. I love this so much.
That's awesome. Actually, Aditya has done a terrific job in the last several months working on various projects, getting to experience India like an Indian does, getting to form relationships with people. Really easy guy, gets along with anyone. I've had a terrific experience mentoring Aditya in his time. Final word for you, Aditya. Will you come back?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm already looking at tickets to come back.
Happy to host you anytime. Thank you, Aditya. God bless.
Thank you.